Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast at Dawn. You just got your headlines and your top stories. Did you see that little artistry there by our production team? That was very impressive. You know, Independence Day, it makes everybody excited. Everybody wants to, contribute in their own way. So, General, before we went off, we were talking about Swat. In a little while, we'll also go to our correspondent, senior correspondent rather, Arshad Sharif, who is in Mingora. And he is standing by over there to give us a live update. And there he is right now. We see him. Quite the beautiful scenery. You know, Arshad, we saw the front page.
Beautiful shirt.
Indeed. We saw the front page of Dawn, and we were happy to see that Independence Day was being celebrated in Mingora. Why don't you tell us what you've seen?
Yes, Naveen, it is very interesting, pretty happy sights. Even now some of the school children are passing by from one of the roads along here. And this Independence Day is being celebrated here in Swat after almost 5 years of the people remaining under Taliban's reign of terror. And this is what the district administration officials had been telling us, that they were not allowed to have any kind of celebration, including those of independence. And if one has to understand the meaning of what independence means, one has to really be in Swat, because the speech of Quaid-e-Azam, which he made to Constituent Assembly on 11th August 1947, that outlined a vision for Pakistan in which he said, you are free to go to your temples, you are free to go to your mosques, you are free to go anywhere in Pakistan. And it is here in Swat, which was a center of Buddhist civilization, that some of the Buddhist relics were destroyed under the Taliban regime. It was Quaid-e-Azam who in his 11th August speech said that religion has got nothing to do with the affairs of the state. And it is here in Swat that the successive governments and successive administrations patronized a group of clerics, a group of mullahs, to impose a religious identity on the people of Swat. The people of Swat are very peace-loving. Has been a tourist hotspot. People have been coming here. They are very tolerant people, but attempts were made by successive administrations, governments, to impose a religious identity. And people like Fazlullah, who was a simple chairlift operator, he was patronized into becoming such a big Frankenstein monster, after all, after which the state had to go after him. Maulana Sufi Muhammad, since 1992, the state had been ignoring his violations of the laws, his challenge to the state authority. And it was here in Swat, in Malakand, he was allowed to hold such a big procession and show of strength, asking for enforcement of Sharia in this particular valley. And Quaid-e-Azam has specifically said that in due course of time, Hindus would cease to be Hindus and Muslims would cease to be Muslims. And he clarified that although religion is a personal matter, he meant that in a political sense as citizens of the state. And it is here in Swat that the military establishment, the intelligence agencies of Pakistan, the successive governments experimented with playing with the religious identity of the country against a dominant Hindu culture and country of India, and played up that, and we saw those results in Swat in a very bloody manner, where people were executed, people were taken hostage, even the security agencies, the military itself became a target. And that was an experiment of the governments which went wrong as far as imposing the religious identity over the last 62 years is concerned. Yes, Naveen.
Arshad, it's very interesting that you should bring all of that up. Actually, as you know, General Moinuddin Haider is also in the studio. And we were talking about just that, about how Sufi Muhammad, the general was saying that Sufi Muhammad was not stopped, was not curtailed when he
I mean, we stopped him, but I mean, he managed to go to Afghanistan with several thousand so-called mujahideen, young children, whom he almost dumped, and he came back himself safe. And the parents of those children wanted to get hold of him and hound. And at that time, when he came back with 3-4 vehicles, without paying tax. And on that charge, we put him behind. When I was Interior Minister, he was remained locked up throughout that. He was recently released by the ANP government. Now, it's a very heartening sight today to see him in this beautiful Swat and what he is telling us. And a beautiful territory which we had lost to insanity, shall I say, and we have recovered it. And it is a great day which shows that Pakistan is quite conscious of the threats being posed to its very existence by these religious militants. They are not at all Islamic in their outlook. So they are giving a bad name to Islam, they are giving a bad name to Pakistan. And when these people, my experience is that you very rarely can have a dialogue with them because they are so rigid and they're wanting to challenge the rate of the government and establish their own fiefdoms in these areas. So in the end, we have to be we have to use force in a selective manner. There is no way.
All right,
And this question that he raised about intelligence agencies, I will tell you that when Pakistan came into being, the army got a bit of Islamic character, but a very balanced one, a very mild. I mean, every battalion was authorized Maulana Sahib, who was teach the people who did not know the Holy Quran or lead prayers, and only to that extent officers would go also join the prayers. But otherwise, life was normal. It is only during Ziaul Haq's days
that this
that
happened.
instead of unity, faith, and discipline, we saw Iman, Taqwa, Jihad fi sabilillah, and people started growing beards, and those people, who were found saying their prayers more often, along with whenever General Zia used to appear somewhere, or keep beards, they became the darlings, and sometimes professionally they were patronized.
If I may draw Arshad into this conversation, Arshad, we're winding up our conversation here, our discussion here. So I'm going to finally go to you. So you want to respond to that?
Well, General Moinuddin Haider, as he has been pointing out when he was interior minister, yes, steps were taken. And even in his message to the nation on the Independence Day, President Asif Ali Zardari has said that we all know who nurtured this militant mindset. And he stopped short of identifying those forces which nurtured the militant mindset in this country. And even now, although the spirit of independence is there, people in Swat are dancing on the streets, they are singing the national songs and anthems, songs which they were banned, any kind of song which the Taliban had banned. And national songs, one can hear them on the famous Green Chalk where the Taliban used to slaughter the people. But despite that spirit of independence which is being celebrated here, there is still an air of fear. And all the sights, sounds and smells of Swat are bespeaking fear. Fear of the masked men, fear of the gun-toting soldiers, and fear of the unfulfilled promises for the future, and fear of those militant leaders who are still not arrested or killed by the military, like Fazlullah and his other associates. Yes, Naveen.
Thanks for that, Arshad Sharif, our senior correspondent reporting to us from Mingora. And thank you so much also to you, General Moinuddin Haider, here talking to us about Pakistan security, giving us his insight. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up after the break, we will have Samiullah Khan, Olympic-winning hockey player, who will be in our studios. We will pay tribute to our heroes who have accomplished so much through sports. Stay with us. Breakfast at Dawn.